Hello everyone, welcome to the J-Hook Crochet Yarniversity. I'm so happy to have you all here with me today. I hope everyone had a great week. I see already a lot of people in the chat. I'm very excited that we have a big attendance today. Again, thank you all for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button when you come in. And if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, I would very much appreciate it if you subscribe. We have a lot to talk about today. Our subject today is crochet diagrams and charts. I will continue what we started last week. I've seen many of you have made your homework. Some people sent me emails, some people posted on the Facebook group and on Instagram, and I was very happy to see that you all are good students. And I will take a quick look at the chat to see who we have with us today, and then I have a few short announcements, and then we will begin. So, wow, you guys were talking a lot. We have Catherine, hello Catherine, and Tracy, hi, and Lori, hello Lori, I hope your elbow is doing better. And hello Julie and Karen, and hello to Kate from Bitchin' Stitches. Hi, welcome, thank you for being here. And Gina, hello, hi Sharon, hi. And Wilma is here. Wilma, I just saw your Instagram post before the live stream began. And hello Kim, and hello to Anvita. And if I missed anyone, I'm sorry. You guys all know I am not yet very good with keeping up with the chat as well as the talk or whatever subject I'm talking about. So most likely is that while I'm talking, I am either looking at the camera or at my screen, and I'm not seeing your response or your messages in the chat. Every once in a while, I will hop in back into the chat and read comments back. So if I missed your comment or you asked me a question and didn't answer it, just ask it again. I also have two moderators. I am Catherine from Cat's Eye Catchers and Catherine from Little Bish's Stitches. I'm not sure she's here yet, but she might join us later. So all of you today, thank you for being here. I am very, very happy that you're all here. And if, like I said, if I missed anyone, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not ignoring anyone, so please don't be offended by me. Before we hop into today's chat, I want to mention two things. So first of all, as you can see up here, there is a student discount code this weekend. It's good until Monday, including Monday, so you can still use it tomorrow if you want. And it is good on both my Etsy shop as well as the Teespring shop. And I wanted to show you, for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram and maybe not seen yet, look at my Yarniversity hoodie. It arrived. I'm so happy. I love, love, love it. I have some other things coming in, so as they come in, I will show them to you on the lives. Yeah, I'm wearing my school swag. Exactly, Lori. And so for those of you who don't know, we have on my Teespring shop, link is in the description box below this video. We have merchandise of the Yarniversity that you can order directly from the site and it will be shipped directly to you. And as I have mentioned, today as well as tomorrow, this discount code GET10 will get you 10% off on all merchandise on the Teespring, as well as everything on my Etsy shop. And the links to both of those are in the description box below. There are a few new things on the Etsy shop as well. There is a new pattern that was released yesterday. My Artemis cowl. I had beautiful, wonderful testers working on that, and thank you all who tested for me. So that pattern is released and is already on the Etsy shop. And I have made some stitch markers. Some of them are already on the shop and some of them will get on the shop this week. I am also working on making crochet hooks handles and some other crafty things. So just keep an eye out on the Etsy shop. Things are being added every day. Let's see who joined us. I see Jonine. Hello, welcome from Canada. I remember you. And I remember how to pronounce your name. Lori, she says, I saw that before. She said, I'm wearing my school swag. And you were using your coffee cup, Lori. I really want to see it. Can you maybe take a picture, post it somewhere, so we see the cups, what they look like. Gotcha hooked. Hello, happy Sunday. I'm not sure. I may be mistaken, but I think it's the first time I'm running into your name in the chat. So if you want us to call you by your name, just put your names in the chat so we know what to call you. But welcome. Hello, hello, hello to everyone joining. Thank you very much for being here. And we are going to talk about crochet charts and diagrams. We're going to continue what we started last week. So as I've said, most of you, or a large group of you, have done your homework, at least that I've seen. Maybe some of you did and I didn't see it. And I was very happy to see that you all got the information, understood the information, were able to use the information that we talked about last week, and we're going to continue this week. And today we are going to talk about crochet charts and diagrams that are a bit more complex. Some that are worked from the center, some that are only partially shown on the diagram, and you have to work the repetition out yourself. So we went up a level. We are now, well swimming in the material, so we understand what we're talking about. Your name is Vicky. Okay, hello Vicky, welcome. Thank you for being here. And Kelly's Crochet Adventures, hello, welcome. Thank you for everyone who's joining us. Don't forget to hit the like button when you come in. And if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, I would very much appreciate it if you consider subscribing. As I have mentioned, discount code for the Teespring shop as well as the Etsy shop, good until Monday. Is there anything I forgot to mention before we begin? Oh yeah, I'm still missing last week's winner. From the live stream. Last week I draw the winner that won the yarn that I was showing a week before. So it's always 1 week later. so I drew a winner from the live stream that we had about novelty yarns, and I drew the winner last week. And so if you are the winner, or if you don't know, or if you haven't watched last week's live stream and you think you might be the winner, then you might want to go back and watch last week's live stream. Just first of all, because it was very informative, and second of all, because you might be the winner, and third of all, because if you comment on last week's live stream, you will be entered into the giveaway, which I will choose a winner for today. So I'm still missing that one winner that got the novelty yarn. There was a choice between the thick and thin and the chenille yarn. That winner did not reach out to me yet. I'm gonna still wait one more week, and if the winner doesn't contact me until next week, then I will have to draw another winner. I want to remind you all that the prize for commenting on last week's live, let me show it to you again. The winner for this will be drawn at the end of today's live. So the prize from last week's live is this very cute set of doggy things. There was those little post-it notes that are all little dogs, and to go along with them we had the set of French bulldog with a French beret, doggy, hand cream, and nail file. And to go along with those, we had the 3 wonderful bath bombs. And I promise you, if you guys watched me unboxing my my Dire Wolf Yarn Club this week, where the bath bomb came all undone during shipping, these ones are very well packed in vacuum nylon, so they won't fall apart on the way to you. But this is the prize that you can win if you comment on last week's live stream, and you still have time until today's live stream is finished to go back, don't close this window, open another tab on your computer or on your phone, go to last week's live show and comment on there to enter into the giveaway. Okay, well, there's a lot of chatter going on today. Everyone's just saying hello to everyone, I guess. Mandala Sparkle, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And hi, Rita. And hello, Runaway Needle Red. Hi, welcome. I have just joined your channel last week. And hello, Petra. Hi, Petra from Petra's Happy Place. Glad to see you here. Lori says her husband wants a Frenchie so bad. Oh man, no, dog is a lot of work. I understand you, Lori, but we do have a dog actually, and he's a dear. I love him so much. It's the first dog I ever had, because before I met my husband, I always had cats, and I was expecting a big headache, but he's actually a dear. Yes, Kate, those bath bombs were amazing, and I can still smell it here in the in my craft room. Actually, the yarn that came in that box is already here in this cabinet, and the whole cabinet smells amazing. What was last week's Yarniversity called? It was Introduction to Crochet Charts and Diagrams. All right. So everyone's just saying hi. Tracy, last week's live stream was called Introduction to Crochet Charts, or something like that. Hello from Brooklyn, New York. Hello to Brooklyn. So to all of you who are new to my channel or don't know me, hi again, I'm Reggie and I am the professor here at the Yarniversity. And we do these live streams on Sundays, which are a different topic every year. It's pretty much every week, sorry, it's pretty much like a live lesson. You guys can ask me questions while I talk about whatever I'm talking about, but I'm going to show things and say things. So I only read the chat every once in a while when I go back to look at the chats. If you have questions for me and I miss them, just post them again. I live in Germany, so I can answer a lot of questions about everything that I'm talking about, but I cannot answer questions about yarn stores or yarns that are only available in different countries. I buy most of my yarn online. If you are a viewer of my channel, then you know that. You know that I'm a huge hobby girl, as you can see here behind me, and in this cabinet here, it's pretty much full of hobby. Other than this is actually Little Bish's Stitches yarn right there. So I pretty much buy all of my yarn online. I am an expert on buying yarn online. I actually had a whole live stream about that just a few weeks ago. It's called The Guide to Buying Yarns Online. And then the following week, I did a whole live about the best websites online where you can get good yarn for a reasonable price. And we spoke about all of this in the past. So if you have any questions that are specific about yarns that you know that I have, I will be happy to answer them. But I cannot answer questions about yarns that are only available in certain countries. I have been getting them in the email in the past few weeks. People have been asking my opinion on this or that yarn. I'm sorry. Hey, I live in Germany. You have to understand that. So yarns that are only available on Michael's, Joann's, Walmart, and so on, I cannot say anything about those. If there are yarns that are sold on an online website that ships worldwide and I have ordered from it before, then yes, but mostly no. Hobby yarns, if you have questions about hobby yarns, I am the expert about hobby yarns. I'm pretty sure that everyone who watches my channel knows that I think I own or have owned, maybe I don't own right now because I've used it, but pretty much every possible yarn on the hobby website. So if you have questions about that, I can probably answer that. Catherine says Jesse is a deer when he's not dragging you around. That's correct. That was that one time that I was injured while walking my dog. Very severe injury it was. Lori says she thinks I discovered a brand new use of bath bombs air fresheners. That's a good. That's one way to use them. I was just happy that it wasn't like a total loss, you know, because I would be annoyed if I couldn't have used it at all. Okay, Catherine, go go make dinner. Yes, Tracy, I have tried every possible yarn from Hobby. That's exactly what I was just saying. Hobby is my to-go yarn. I'm not affiliated with Hobby. I'm not affiliated with any yarn company other than Darn Good Yarn, and I am not a representative of them. I have an affiliate link. If you shop at Darn Good Yarn regularly, I would very much appreciate if you use my link when you shop there. I get a small kickback from that. You don't pay any more than you would normally pay, but I do get a small kickback out of that, so I do appreciate if anyone who uses my affiliate links. They are all always in the description box below this video. There are some links that are under affiliate links which are not really affiliated. They are more like discounts that viewers of my channel get on different websites, but I don't get anything from it. But all of this is available in the description box below the video. And even Darn Good Yarn, that I am affiliated with them. If you do watch my channel regularly, you know that I don't always say good things about them. I don't get paid to say good things about any company, and I'm never going to do that either, because then you just lose your credibility. Did I hear Hobie is opening some brick and mortar stores, shops? Yes, Hobie has physical shops already in Denmark, and they are now opening one in Germany that's supposed to come sometime this year. I'm not sure when. And they are opening their first German store will be in Hamburg. That is quite a drive from where I live. But once it opens, I am definitely going to do a road trip up there. Yes. Hi, Debbie. Welcome. Yes, they are opening stores. Well, they are at the moment only opening stores in Europe. I believe they already have 3 in Denmark. They are a Danish company, for those of you who don't know. And I believe that that the one in Germany that is coming is their first one. It's going to be outside of Denmark, and then later they would probably branch out to more countries in Europe first. Of course, I will give you guys a tour when it opens. Okay, one last thing, or actually 2 last things before we start talking about crochet charts, which is why you guys are all here. So first of all, I wanted to show you something that's not on the Etsy shop yet, but it will be. It will be on the Etsy shop sometime this week. I hope to get it up tomorrow so that you guys can still use the code, but it all hangs on, you know, my time management skills, which are not that great. But we have a new Yarniversity merch thing. These will be up on the Etsy shop for pre-order. So I will take orders of these until the end of the month, and then I will close the listing, and I will have to order these from the company that makes them according to the number of people who ordered them. So there are these really cute Yarniversity pens. They are awesome. I really like them. So, and they are available in different colors as well. This one is black, but you can also get a different color. And to go with them, we have the Yarniversity notepads. And they are, of course, my signature purple with the Yarniversity logo up here and the J-hook crochet down there. And these will be on the Etsy shop. These will not be on Teespring because Teespring don't make these kind of things. They make wearables and cups and stuff like that, but they don't make pens. And I had to order this especially from a different company, and I only ordered one set so that I can take a picture of it and put it on the Etsy shop so that people can say if they want them, and then I will order a bulk of these. So this will be up on the Etsy shop. And the last thing I need to show you before we start talking is today's giveaway. So we spoke about what's the giveaway from last week, and I told you guys that if you want to enter that, you have to open another window, go to last week's live stream and comment down there. And when this live stream is over, so not now, not today in the chat, when the live stream is over and goes back into replay, you have to come back to the video and comment under the video. If you write anything now, it will go in the chat and will not count. You have to come back after, watch it on the replay, and put the comment in the comment section below. And today's giveaway will be for this beautiful hank of yarn. This is from Darn Good Yarns, and it is a ombre recycled silk yarn in these beautiful blue colors. It is a lace weight, so there are 50 grams and 230 yards. So it's very, very thin, and it's very, very soft. It is, as I've said, recycled silk. For those of you who were here the week we spoke about the different materials, then you can imagine what that feels like. And to go along with that, will be this box of locking stitch markers in all colors of the rainbow. So you will get the box of stitch markers and the hank of yarn, and that will be for people who come back to today's video, this one that you're watching right now, and comment down below when it goes back into replay. All right, so I'm gonna read the chat and then we're going to start talking about crochet charts. Thank you for being honest. Yeah, that's something I will always try to keep on my channel. I'm trying not to be in a situation where someone pays me to say things, because I don't think I mean, I know there are some YouTube channels who operate this way, and I just, I think they lose all credibility, and I wouldn't want to watch someone like that, so I'm not like that either. Hobby has several shops in Denmark, and the last few years they've opened 4 shops. Yes, exactly. That's that's what I was saying. Lori, Etsy or Teespring, I think I answered that. I would love to know your favorite hobby yarns, top 10 recommendations. So when I get around to order, I will have a guide. Well, if you go back to my channel, there is a whole video. We did a live stream. My first ever live stream on YouTube was everything you wanted to know about hobby yarns, and if you go there, I think you'll have your answer. I pretty much spoke. Well, of course, I couldn't speak about all hobby yarns because there are so many, but I spoke about some of my favorites, and in general just showed different yarns from hobby that I have or that I tried, and I spoke all about that. And I also helped a little bit with navigations around their site. And also, if you shop on hobby and you're not yet a member of the website, then I would very much appreciate it if you use my membership link. It's under that video that I was just talking about. When you go to that video, in the description box below the video, there will be a link that will take you to join the hobby membership. And if you do that, again, I'm not affiliated with hobby. The only thing I get from it is, I think, 100 points or something like that, which is pretty much nothing, because I think the first thing that you can get with points on the website starts with like 1,200 points, but anything helps. I've never been disappointed in working with hobby yarns. Me neither. I can't say anything about how the yarn looks after you've washed it multiple times. I haven't been disappointed in them yet, ever. And I've said I've tried so many of their yarns. All right, everybody likes a darn good yarn. Where did you say you can get a sweatshirt? On my Teespring shop. So if you go to the description box below this video, you will see one second. I will tell you exactly what you will see, because I don't remember what I put in there always, but I think it's like under JHook Crochet, and then you will have the link to the Etsy shop and all my social media. But I will tell you right now, because I really I don't remember how it's put down. Okay, yeah, so you have when you go to the description box, after the description that tells you what this video is, it says JHook Crochet, and then you have my official website, my blog. If you guys are not on there yet, then, you know, join us on there. My Instagram, my Facebook, and then there's the Teespring shop, the Etsy shop, and the Ko-fi, and the link to donate to the channel. So those are all down there. And if you are just joining us, get 10. This is the discount code for both the Teespring and my Etsy, and it's good until Monday night. Well, including Monday including. Everyone knows I need more stitch markers. We all do. Hello, Sandra. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Yes, everyone, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Thank you, Runaway Needle. Let's let you know that we are here. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not yet subscribed, I would very much appreciate it if you join us. And hello, Lashira. Thank you for joining, my neighbor. not my actual neighbor. She just lives in the neighboring country. Okay, so now we have pretty much wasted the first half an hour talking, and I think that's more chit-chatting than I ever did on a live stream until today. So we are gonna get down to it. So we are here today to continue the journey that we started last week with talking about crochet charts and diagrams. Last week we learned about the three main forms of crochet charts and diagrams. We learned about the stitch diagram, the stitch chart, and the color chart. And then I gave you guys homework, and if you guys did not watch last week, you can still go on and watch it. You can still go on the website on my blog, and the homework is still there, and you can still do them, and you can still post them. There is still there's no like limited time on that task, so you can always catch up. Today we are going to continue from where we left off, and we're going to go one level up. You know, we have the link that I posted last week about all the different stitches and how they are shown in the diagrams. And today we can advance one level, and we can talk about diagrams that have unique shapes and they're not just back and forth on a flat surface. Lori says, no matter how many of those color stitch markers I get, I always love getting more. I find them all over the place. Yeah, me too. Except where you need it to be. Yeah, I think that's a common problem with crocheters. I actually have most of my stitch markers now. Again, most, not all of them. Most of them are in this little box on my table. This is something I got for Christmas. It has like a, I don't know, it has like a little Santa on there. So I kind of feel like silly having it out all year round, but it holds all of my beautiful stitch markers. So I keep it. All right, so today we are advancing one level up, and I have for you something that you should all recognize. So here we are. All right, you guys should all recognize this, and I'm sure you guys can all tell me in the chat, what is this? This is a stitch diagram of what? Hi, Anita. Thank you for joining. Slept super late. That's okay. I wish I could sleep in late. You did my homework last week, but never posted it. It's okay. I believe you. And Catherine, you end up using your earrings. Yeah, that's something you can do too. All right, guys, what do we see here in this picture? What is this? Oh, where are all my top students? Yes, it is. It is a granny square. It's a classic granny square because, you know, today pretty much every kind of square that we make that has some form to it inside. Hello, Diane. Thank you for joining. We call them granny squares as a you know some kind of brand name or some kind of like overall name for those squares that we all make and put together into blankets or other garments. So this is the traditional, typical granny square. That's what you see here. And so we all, or let's say, I want to assume, because granny squares are pretty much crochet 101. So I think that we all know how to work a simple, basic granny square. So assuming that, and looking at the chart in front of us, we are going to talk about how it's worked. So you remember we said last week we have little arrows that show us where the pattern or which direction we work the pattern. When we work a pattern that is worked from the middle, unless it's clearly stated by a small arrow that tells us the direction of working every round. Unless we have that, the pattern is pretty much worked counterclockwise. So we read the pattern counterclockwise in rounds unless the arrows tell us differently, okay? So we begin here. This is the middle, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 chains and a slip stitch to close the circle. And then it tells us to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and start, we know how we work a granny square. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 3 double crochet, chain 3, and so on. And we see that we slip stitch here where the black dot is and go up to the next, and so on and so on. Now, of course, there are as many ways to work a granny square as there are people who make them, right? I personally like to have my join on my granny squares in the corner so that it doesn't create this line along the granny square. There are people who like to turn their work every other round so that, or every round, so that it creates like an even texture on both sides of the work. Everyone works a granny square differently. But if we get this chart, because we're talking about charts, we're not talking about how to work a granny square. So if we look at this chart will be worked from the middle outward and counterclockwise, so this way. Now, when we get a chart that is worked from the middle, the first thing we have to figure out is where is the first stitch? So that is the question we ask first. What's the first stitch? So the first stitch will be this chain of 4. The next thing we want to find out is how do we go up to the next row? So it tells us here, we go up to the next row by chaining this chain of 6. And then we work the pattern counterclockwise. Now the next thing we want to know is how we finish our row. So we look at the pattern and it says to slip stitch. Not every pattern ends with a slip stitch, but this specific one does. And then we go back to question number 2. How do I go up to the next row? I chain 3. Then I work the pattern counterclockwise unless there is an arrow that tells me that I need to work the other way. And again, how do I finish my row? And so on. So those are the questions that are leading us when we read a crochet diagram that is worked from the middle outwards. Where's the first stitch? That's question number 1. How do I go up a row? That's question number 2. And how do I end my row? That's question number 3. Other than these 3 questions, the stitches are what they are. We spoke about it last week. All you have to do is look at the pattern, look at the diagram, and you know which stitch goes where, how many chains, does the stitch go in the chain or does it go in the stitch? All of that is in the diagram. We don't have those questions that we have with written patterns, right? We don't have this, wait, is it 3 double crochets in one stitch or 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches? We don't have that question because we have the diagram. The questions we do ask is the 3 questions that I just said. Where's the first stitch? How do I go up a row? And how do I end my row? Okay, so are we clear on the basic of working from the middle? Can I go to the next level picture? Tell me in the comments. Hi, Kim from the Crafty Nomad is here. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, well, everyone could see that it is a granny square. I'm very happy about that. So I'm just waiting for some kind of confirmation from someone in the chat that tells me that what I just said was clear, or if you have any questions about the 3 question method that I just mentioned before we go on. And I am going to look for the next picture while you guys answer. All right, it's clear for everyone. I'm very happy. So we are going to go one level up. Let's not go crazy. Wait, let me make this smaller so you guys can see it. All right. So we went one level up. Yeah, I'm not going too crazy here. What do we see here? This is also a granny square, of course. But this one's worked a little different. It's worked in 2 rows of the granny stitch, and then 1 solid row, and then 1 row granny, 1 row solid, and then it says to end it with a row of single crochets. But of course you can make it into a bigger blanket as you want. You can continue this alternating between the regular granny stitch and the solid stitch, solid double crochet rows as much as you go. But what we see here, we see a pattern where the chaining is not all on the same line. Do you guys see that? Tell me if you see that. And I will explain in a second. Jean, I'm very happy that you're learning from this, and you're very welcome. Alisa, you just came in and you're already in a set. It's wonderful. I'm very happy. Okay, so what we're talking about here, again, this is, I am showing different ways in which diagrams are shown or written or drawn so that you guys can find yourself when you look at one. So you see, when you look at this pattern, taking into consideration, or at this diagram, taking into consideration what we were talking about before, something doesn't add up, right? The chaining is in a different place every time. It's not up the chain from the previous round. Why is that? Right. Julie is correct, and Alisa sort of got it. There's a change of direction. So here, you remember our questions. Where's the first stitch? This beginning chain here. How do I go up a row? I chain up. But wait, I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The chains are going clockwise. So what we are missing in this picture is the little arrow that tells us that this row goes clockwise, and while the next row goes starts from a different stitch and goes clockwise from there. So this is a pattern that works different than what we're all used to, right? Or what I just said. If you are used to reading diagrams and you're used to going counterclockwise, and then I get this pattern and it tells me, no, go clockwise, because if you work this pattern clockwise, then you will be slip stitching into the double crochet here, and then your chain won't be, or your seam won't be at the same place every time. It will move up, but it gives it like a sort of like a diagonal look. You guys see that? We have here the chain that goes this way, and then we work our stitches. But our chain up goes here. Do you guys see that? I'm just wondering if anyone in the chat thinks that this pattern might be tricking us in a way. Is it possible to work it? Try it in your mind. Try to work it. If this is our beginning chain, that means our last stitch is here. How come my next chain comes up here? Who knows? Tell me. It's a very easy question. Well, it's a very easy answer, but you won't think of it right away. Okay, so you guys are coming with a lot of interesting solutions. So it's actually, you're saying you should slip stitch, but what did we say? We don't do things that are not in the diagram, and there are no dots telling us to slip stitch. So no, you don't have to slip stitch back. You don't have to turn your work. The answer is actually very easy. We're just not thinking about it. It is a change of color. It's a color change. So I'm sorry if I confused you guys, and I'm sorry. But it's a color change. So what this pattern tells us is at the end of each round, cut your yarn and join a new one. And when you join your new one, join it here. So the pattern, all through the pattern, is worked clockwise. Why? I don't know. The person who drew up this diagram drew it clockwise instead of counterclockwise. But it's so easy to, when you think about it, because I mean, yeah, we saw diagrams last week and we said, oh, it's so easy that the rows are in different colors and I can really see the different rows. But here, the rows are in different colors because you're actually asked to switch a color. So what this pattern tells us is at the end of the row, slip stitch to your first chain or to your third chain of your beginning chain, cut the yarn, join a new yarn, and it tells us exactly where to join it. Where do we join it? Here, in the chain space. And then we work our next row, and we slip stitch to the first, and we cut the yarn, and we join our new yarn here, on this corner, and so on. Okay? I hope that you guys... I hope that this was clear. I hope that I didn't confuse anyone with this. I was trying in the beginning to see if anyone says, wait, but we're looking at something that doesn't make sense. So I hope that you guys are still with me on this one. Catherine, eye roll. It could be that they are left-handed. You can still use this pattern even if you work it the other way. You can just flip the picture on your computer. Someone did mention it was a color change. I'm sorry, I may have missed it. I told you guys I'm not good with keeping up with the chat. So if anyone did say color change, good for you. So how can you tell in a chart if you should stitch into the chain or around the chain? Into the chain or around the chain? Sorry, Lori, I'm not sure I get your question. Agree with color change, but it would crochet this counterclockwise. You can still, again, what's wrong with what I'm showing you right now? It's not wrong. What I wanted you to come up with is not that the direction of the stitching is wrong or whatever. I wanted you to figure out that this shows us a row that ends and a new row, a new color that begins, that we're not working our same yarn forward. We gotta presume this pattern is arrowless, which is not always the case. That's true, but because it's a class, I did not choose. I checked the patterns ahead, so I'm not gonna show you something that's arrowless. But there are, yeah, that is correct. You can get a chart that has arrows in it. I'm not sure how to solve something like that, other than maybe contact the designer and ask them if it's possible. You get the diagram tells us if the color change, but I have noticed in different tutorials people differ in how they attach the new color. Is there a wrong or right? No, attaching new color is a thing of habit. Everyone likes to do the attachment differently. For different reasons. Everyone have their own go-to method of how to attach a new color. Unless a certain pattern tells you exactly how the yarn needs to be attached. Maybe on amigurumi it sometimes makes a big deal because of how the color shows up on the finished product. You want your lines to be whole and not have like one stitch going upwards. Again, then the pattern will tell you. But in most cases, a change in color is a design or a maker's go-to, whatever you're comfortable with. Lori says, for example, it looks like the double crochet is pointing in the chain stitches. I would work the... okay, now I understand, Lori. So you're asking if we are working into the chain or into the chain space. And is there a way to see? Well, I have not yet come across a diagram that shows you working into a chain. Until now, all the diagrams that I have come across means that you work into the space, into the chain space. So we all know how you work a granny square. When you work on the chain spaces. You don't put your hook into the chain itself. I promise that I will look into that and I will come back with an answer for you next week if there is a certain mark on a crochet diagram that shows that you need to work into the chain and not around it. Okay, I promise I will look into that and I will come back to you with an answer. Don't most patterns have the actual written instructions to go along with the charts? Some do, some don't. This specific lesson, as well as last week's specific lesson, is to know how to read diagrams and charts on their own so that you don't always have to get the patterns with the written. Not today. We live in the age of Google, and it is very easy to just type in, I don't know, pineapple doily chart or pineapple doily diagram, and there will be a picture. And that's all you need if you know how to work it. If you don't know how to work it, then you might need the written instructions to go along with it. If you are working on a pattern that you bought from a designer and so on, and you have the written instructions as well as the chart, then it might help that you have both of them, because you can compare between them. If there's something that you don't understand 100%, you can always compare the two, but it's not always the case. Lori, the double crochet pointing to the double crochet where I would go into the double crochet below. Double crochet pointing to the double crochet where you would go into the double... I don't... Sorry, Lori, I'm trying to understand. Usually you work in the chain space. I haven't seen pattern. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, exactly. Lori, when it's a beginning chain, then you normally work into the chain. Yes, but other than that, most of the time you work into the spaces. Hi, Kim. Welcome. When you crochet doilies a lot, you sometimes have to crochet into the chain stitch, often to make it look symmetrical. Oh, okay. Then you know what? I'm going to look into that, because I have a lot of books of crochet doilies, and I can definitely look into that. Your grandma has charts that have instructions in Polish you can't read. Double crochet stuff was a further explanation. Oh, okay, Lori. So I understand. Just let me know if I answered your questions your question in general, and and then I will know if I can continue on. But to this specific chart that you see, or a diagram, this is a crochet diagram. I'm sorry that I keep saying chart, and I hope that I'm not confusing anyone. This is actually a crochet diagram, and to those of you looking at the crochet diagram, other than the fact that this one is worked clockwise, which most of them are not, most of them are worked counterclockwise because that's the way most of us work. Although, yeah, this will be very useful for left-handed people. If you're not left-handed, all you have to do is flip this picture on your computer, or just work it the other way. But yeah, what I wanted to show you with this diagram is what a diagram that clearly states that you change color every row looks like, except from the fact that the rows are different colors. But this we saw last week can also be just a way that the designer makes it easier for us to look. So how do I know if he actually means for me to change color every row, or if he doesn't? Well, now we see a row that does not begin in the same place as the last row. So I'm actually attaching a new yarn here, which is why the attachment is in a different place. So let me know if this was clear before I show you another one, and we can talk about the things that the new one is telling us. Lori, if you find them, yes, let us know if you manage to read them properly now. You think you understand? That's wonderful. You know that if you have questions, you can always ask me on the live chats, and later on the Facebook group and Instagram and everywhere. You can just ask me. And if you know what, if you do end up finding those, I would love if you can just don't snap the whole book, but like snap a picture of one or two of them and show them to me. I would love to see what they look like. Each corner shows stitches the same, so we know it's in the space. Lori, it's okay. All right, everyone says it's clear. That's wonderful. So we can move on. Let me just take a sip. All right. Oh, I asked you guys last week. I wonder if anyone found any place that does glass printing on glass or engraving on glass. Just wondering. All right. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. Okay, guys, so here is one. This one, well, except for the fact that this one is using a few more elaborate stitches. Again, not very elaborate, but more than the ones we saw until now. What do we see here in this pattern? So you remember our questions that we said we're going to ask, and again, we're not talking about color change now, and we are not talking about the direction of the pattern, although this specific pattern is written in the right direction and is also a color changing or not color changing pattern. So you can either change every row or not change every row. That does not matter. But we're looking at this pattern, and we have our 3 questions. You remember the 3 questions that we said we're going to ask when we look at a pattern that's worked from the middle. Where is our first stitch? So where is our first stitch? It's a pattern that's worked from the middle, so the answer is normally in the middle. And it tells us to chain 4 and slip stitch to close. You can, of course, every time a pattern that's worked from the center tells you to chain 4 and slip stitch to close, you can, of course, use the magic circle instead if you prefer. But what we have here, we have some cluster stitches, but again, that's not what I wanted to show you guys. But what we have here is a pattern that's worked in a it ends in one place and starts in another, and I wanted to show you that here it does tell us that we slip stitch to the beginning chain and then we slip stitch again into this chain here. Do you see that? There are two black dots. So this black dot is the slip stitch to join to end round number 1. And then there's another dot here that says slip stitch into this chain space here and then start round number 2. Was that clear? Yes? No? Tell me. I need a flower square? Yeah, it's sort of a flower square. They have laser engraving for glass now, and I will look for you something in your area or Germany, UK. Yeah, somewhere. Well, it doesn't have to be in my area. I'm just looking for something that's sort of like Teespring or Vistaprint that does merch, but I really want to. We have cups on the Teespring. We have the Yarniversity cups, but we did mention last week that it would be really nice to get either wine glasses or beer pints because it's sort of like more our our style. All right, everyone, it's clear. So you guys can clearly see that this first round ends here and there's a slip stitch and then it tells me slip stitch again and chain here, right? So now I work my next round. I chain 1 and I work 1 single crochet here. And let's think real quick about patterns that we know that are written patterns. There is something that we always recognize in every written pattern, and even someone like me that does crochet tutorials on YouTube says that very often, and that's, does the chain count as a stitch or does the chain not count as a stitch? Okay, so right here in the first row, we clearly see that our beginning chain, this chain 1, 2, 3, 4 here, that it counts as a stitch because the rest of the round, as we go around, we have those 2 stitch clusters. So here we have the chain 5, the chain 4 and the treble crochet here, and that counts as our first cluster, and then we work different clusters. But here, when we go into row number 2, we have a chain 1, and then we have a single crochet, but as we look at the rest of the pattern, there's only chain 1s everywhere. There are only single crochets everywhere. You guys see that? So, the beginning chain of round number 1 counts as a stitch. However, the beginning chain of round number 2 does not count as a stitch. Do you guys understand how to figure out if the beginning chain counts as a stitch or does not count as a stitch? Let me know if that was clear. Lori, you need to study your stitch guide. Yeah. For those of you who did not watch last week's class, go back, watch last week's class because it's important. And also in last week's description box, there is a link to a website that I found that has over 90 different crochet diagram stitches so that you can understand exactly what stitches those are. So if you're missing that, that's in last week's live's description box. And now that I think of it, I should have linked it in today's as well. And I promise that once this goes into replay, I will come back and edit it into the description box. Trotec, the company for merch, laser, glass, green, gray. Thank you, Deborah. I will write that down right now. Thank you. I will look it up. Wine and beer are our brand. Yes, exactly. All All right, it's clear for everyone. You see, but will I remember? That's a good question, Lori. By looking at the rest of that row. Wonderful. Clear, everyone. Okay, good. Okay, good. So now we work our row. We finish our row. At the end of the row tells us to slip stitch to the first. Where does it tell us to slip stitch into? The first single crochet, not to that chain one. Okay, that's very important. And now we ask our third questions. You remember the first question was, where is my first stitch? Second question was, how do I go up a row? And the third question, how do I finish the row? So we saw that the row ends by slip stitching into the first single crochet, not into the chain. And now I ask myself question number 2 again. How do I go up a row? So in this case, once again, we have to slip stitch into the chain space. However, this pattern has a slip stitching back into the chain space before and not into the next chain space. Do you see that? The slip stitch is here. So I finished my row here, and I don't want to say normally, but normally I would slip stitch into the next chain space here. But this pattern tells me go back and slip stitch into the previous chain space. Does everyone see that? Going to have to print that stitch guide out. Yes, Anita, that is actually a good idea. I did spend the week trying to find some kind of guide that I can share with you guys that actually has a very large amount of stitches and is also either printable or downloadable, but I came in short on that. I guess, everyone wants you to buy the book. I do try to get as much free content for you guys as possible. But other than that one website that I showed you guys last week, I couldn't find one that has that many stitches. There were many different cheap or free ones that showed basic stitches, but just basic stitches helps you up to a point. And I really wanted you guys to have the whole collection. Yes, but does that also indicate a turn your work? No, it does not, because as we continue, the pattern continues this way. We continue working it counterclockwise. So as you can see, remember our question, how do I go up a row? So how do I end my row? I slip stitch. How do I go up a row? I chain one. And then I work a single crochet, because at the end of the row I slip stitch into that single crochet again. Look at where the end of the row slip stitch dot is. It's on this side and not on that side. That means that we are still working our pattern counterclockwise, and at the end of the row we will slip stitch here into the single crochet. Okay, I hope that helped Lori and Tracy. So the slip stitch dot is on the right side of the single crochet, which means our row will end here. And then once again, how do I go up a row? I chain what in this case looks like a chain 4, because there are 3 chains here and then another chain here before our next double crochet. And once again, the end of this row, the slip stitch, the dot is on this side. So this entire pattern is worked counterclockwise. That makes more sense. Good. I'm happy that helped. So once again, I'm waiting for you guys to confirm that that was clear so that I can move on. So that there are no chains in the shell next level. Yeah. Yes, I think you are correct, Julie. I'm trying to picture the the mechanics. Oh, the mechanics. I'm sorry. English escapes me sometimes. You guys know that. Trying to picture the mechanics of how to actually do that. You mean slip stitching back to the chain before? Will this diagram be in the class notes on the blog? Yes. So I need to apologize to you guys. Last week I told you guys that during the week I will work on uploading all the materials from the Yarniversity classes that we had until now onto the blog. However, my week did not go as I planned, and I'm sorry for that, you guys. But I did not get to do that. However, the good news are that kindergartens opened here again. If you guys remember, we were under total lockdown for quite a while now. But starting this week, my kids are going to kindergarten, and my free time sort of doubled itself. So by next week, all of this will be on the blog. Including the charts that I'm showing you guys, including the spoken information, which will be translated into written word as much as I can, because I'm not such a good writer. And that will all be on the blog. Not done a slip stitch back like that without a turn of the work. So you can. I mean, there's nothing to tell you that you don't have to turn your work, but you just have to remember you can turn your work to slip stitch that one slip stitch, but then turn it back because the pattern does not indicate a turn of your work. So if in order to slip stitch into that chain, the easiest way for you to do it is to turn your whole work slip stitch back, no problem. But then just don't forget to turn your work again before you start the next row. Would you have to break yarn between round 2 and 3? No, you won't. We just said that it's a slip stitch back. It's the pattern tells you to slip stitch. This is this little dot here. The pattern tells you to slip stitch into the chain, but it tells you to slip stitch into the previous chain and not into the next chain as you would normally do. This is why I chose this specific pattern. I wanted to show this kind of stuff so that you guys know when you look at a pattern, it's very important. Those 3 questions that I asked you guys. You remember? Where is my first stitch? How do I go up a row? How do I end my row? And then I ask myself again, okay, how do I go up a row? How do I end my row? How do I go up a row? How do I end my row? If you change color, yes. That's true, Lori. Okay, that is okay. That's a designer choice. If you choose to change color, then yes, break your yarn. But the pattern does not tell you to. Yes, Jean, it is. It's wonderful, wonderful news. I'm very, very happy. I just hope that it stays that way. I must say to I talk a lot about how Germany is handling this whole situation and everything, and I told you guys that many things don't work the way they should, but there's one thing that I feel like at least the German government does understand, and that's the fact that in order for the parents to be able to work, the children have to be in school or kindergarten. Even parents who are sent to work from home in order to, to maintain social distancing and so on, cannot work from home when the children are home. That just makes no sense. So I must say, in that specific area, Germany is handling things very well in understanding that parents cannot go to work or work properly when the children are not in school or in kindergarten. And on that angle, they are doing everything they can to have the kindergartens and the schools open whenever it's possible, whichever way possible. Anita, you have to go outside. It's okay. Come back to us when you come back and have a nice walk. Hi, Squish. Thank you for joining. Welcome. And welcome to everyone who's just joining us now. We are still talking about crochet patterns, crochet charts and diagrams. And yeah, Cheers to you guys. Okay, so can I move on to the next square? Was this square clear? Are there any specific questions about what something in that square that I did not talk about? Kim is saying it's definitely hard to work from home and deal with the children's education. My son is 11 but needs much guidance from us. Yes, Kim, I totally understand that. Well, both of my kids are not yet school age, so whenever they are home and not in kindergarten, I'm pretty much, a kindergarten teacher. You have to keep them busy all day long. You have to give them something to do all through the day, and so then on days that they are home, I pretty much don't do anything else other than being with them. But yes, I can definitely imagine having a child that also has to learn from home or do schoolwork from home and keeps coming to you with questions, or he needs guidance or he needs help, and then of course it's impossible. Your son goes back to a hybrid schedule on Tuesday. Monday is a holiday here. Oh, what holiday is it? He's 16, so I can go to work and my husband is able to do his work at home with no issue. That's good, Lori. But yeah, I have several friends in the US that have children in different school ages, and they are having a very hard time homeschooling. Ones that are not homeschooling normally, yeah, of course, people who always homeschool is something else. But ones who are not, learning to homeschool in a situation like that is very hard on a lot of people. So I am very, very happy that at least the German government is doing whatever they can in order to have the kids in school and in kindergarten. You have a hard time cleaning up the end of rows. It seems they don't look the same and almost feel I have to put a border on to hide it. Ending the rows is the hardest for me. I think you mean, Tracy, you mean when you work a pattern. So it's not something specific. It's not a question specifically to what I'm showing, right? It's something that you're saying in general. When you feel like the ending of your rows is not clear and you gotta put some kind of edging on it to look nice. Is that what you're saying? I hope I understood correctly. Hello, DB. Welcome. For row 5, you slip stitch all the way to the right corner. For row 5, do you slip stitch all the way to the right? Yes, yes, you do. That is correct, Catherine. That is correct. It's Martin Luther King holiday. Oh, good to know. We don't have that, so I wouldn't know that. But good to know. My husband actually works, my husband lives, of course, here in Germany, but his employer is an American company based in Philadelphia, and I only know when certain American holidays are, whenever he says that there's no one in the company right now to help him or to take over, and he has to do things because the other ones are just not there. But other than that, I have no way of keeping track when the holidays there are. Looks like row 5 color chains for border. That can also be, however, there is that one slip stitch dot. But I guess, Julie, you can work that too. You can just join a different color for the border and it tells you to join it in the corner. In general, it feels like I'm not putting the slip stitch in right spot. Where are you putting it, Tracy? Can you it's hard to put into words, but if you can explain or put into words where you're, I don't have any. How is it possible that when I need my whips, they are not here? They are all in different places in the house. Otherwise, I would just like throw something out and show you. But if you can put into words, like where do you put your slip stitch into? Do you put it into the top of the stitch, or are you talking about slip stitching into a beginning chain? Because that's also different. homeschooling and e-learning are not the same because e-learning is in the control of the school, and putting 6-year-olds in front of a screen for 6 hours is crazy. Oh, I understand what you're saying, Lori. Yeah, that is a bit different, but still, children who are doing that and are in the control of the school, yeah, they're still they still are sitting at home, even if they are doing classes in Zoom or whatever, and so the parents still have to look after them. Becky is left-handed. She sometimes loses a stitch because you go opposite of the pattern. Learned a long time ago to read right and left. Sometimes hard to do. I understand that, Becky. I can't even imagine doing crochet from left to right because I'm doing it that way. So, but I can imagine getting patterns or having diagrams that work for right hand people and have to convert them. I can imagine that that's a skill you have to learn. Tracy, it's hard to distinguish if the slip stitch goes in the chain after ending row or the stitch that ended the row. It's hard to determine if the slip stitch goes in the chain after the end of the row or the stitch that ended the row. You mean when you work something or a pattern where you have to slip stitch the first stitch, you don't know if you slip stitch into the chain or... I'll tell you what I do. That's just me. I don't know if other people do that too. But even in patterns that that say that the chain counts as a stitch, I still don't count the chain as a stitch. So I chain up and then I do a stitch, and at the end of the row I slip stitch into that stitch and not into the chain. That causes the chain to come behind the stitch. I wish I had... I'm seriously, I mean, I don't want to start working a swatch here now because I will just be sitting here crocheting and you guys will be waiting in silent because I can't do two things at the same time. But I chain up and then I work a stitch. Even if the pattern says that the chain counts as a stitch, I don't count it as a stitch. I still work a stitch instead of it. And then at the end of the row, I slip stitch into the top of that stitch. It makes the overall finish of the pattern that much nicer. And that chain that you did to chain up disappears because it goes behind that stitch. I hope that was helpful. Most companies have flex days or personal days to use for things like that. Okay, I understand, Lori. So it's not like a bank holiday. Would you carry the yarn to the corner to start row 5 and then crochet around that thread? That's what we were discussing before. We said according to the pattern, you slip stitch back until you get there. But as some people in the chat mentioned, you could just, break your yarn and attach a new one, and attach a new color for the corner. You could do it in whichever way you want. But in this specific case, this specific diagram shows us to slip stitch back, but you can do it whichever way you want. You are the maker. Could you have slip stitch to the left from 4 to 5 and get the same result? Slip stitch to the left from 4 to 5 minutes. Oh, yes, definitely. Yes, you could. Debbie, you definitely could. Going to the first corner on the left. Yes, you could. You would get exactly the same result. Excuse me, right-handed diagram. Wonder if you put a chart upside down on a light pad if you could read it. Oh, you mean you wonder if you put the crochet diagram upside down on a light pad? That's a good question. When you're doing a blanket with a puff stitch, when ending my row with the actual puff stitch, then you chain to start the next row. When ending that second row, I get confused as to where the slip stitch goes. Tracy, I wish I could help you, but I feel like I'm giving advice without knowing exactly what you're talking about. So, my email is in the description box below this video, and I would love to help you, but all you have to do is email me and tell me, or even send me a picture of that line in the pattern or that diagram that you're trying to work and are not sure what to do, and I will give you an answer. But it's very hard for me to do it this way when I read what you're saying and I can't picture it to understand what you want. So it will work way better if you can email me. Tell me exactly what the problem is, and if you even can attach like a screenshot or whatever of that line in the pattern that's not working out for you, and I would love to help you. Might also be showing a color change. It could be showing a thousand different things, but we are specifically talking today about charts that show different things, and the thing I wanted to show you in this specific diagram is the slip stitching back. I wanted to show you how important it is to see where the slip stitch is. So we see that the beginning chain does not count as a stitch because there's still a stitch next to it, and the slip stitch is telling us to slip stitch into the stitch and not anywhere else. And I wanted to show you this slip stitch backward thing. That's what I wanted to show you with this specific one. Of course, it's a diagram. I didn't draw it, so anyone can work it whichever way they want. I wanted to show you this directionality thing. That's why I brought it up. Becky says she got so used to doing it her way, been afraid that I'd be afraid it would really confuse me. But thanks for the suggestion. Okay, yeah, well, you have your own method, Becky, and that's what counts. Yes, Tracy, definitely do that. Definitely email it to me so I will be able to help you better. If a left-hander puts a right-hand diagram upside down on a light pad, would that work like flipping a digital diagram, or maybe putting it in a mirror? Putting it in front of a mirror is a good idea, Lori. If you work, Wilma says if she works a row of puff, start and end with a double crochet. I hope that was helpful, Tracy. You haven't done a slip stitch to the right before, so it was helpful. I'm very happy. That's good. I'm very, very happy that this was helpful for you guys. All right. So I want to know that the specific issue that I wanted to show you guys with this diagram is understood. I want you guys all to remember the 3 questions. Where is my first stitch? How do I go up a row? Where does my row end? Those are the 3 important questions. So I always look, where does my row end? It ends here with a slip stitch to the first stitch. And how do I go up a row? Oh, I have to slip stitch into the chain space, chain 1. My chain 1 does not count as a stitch because there is a stitch right next to it. That's when I look at the rest of the pattern. It needs to be just 1 single crochet. Also, in the next row, it tells me to end the row with a slip stitch into the single crochet, so I know that 1 chain does not count as a stitch. I finish the row, I say, how do I go up a row? Where's my slip stitch? Where's my chain? Oh, it's here. So I have to slip stitch back in here and then work up my next row. And at the end of the row, the slip stitch is on this side and I chain up. And once again, the slip stitch for the end of the row is on this side, so I know I'm working it this way, and I'm slip stitching here. And to work the last row, I could do either one of the things you said. The pattern indicates that I will have to slip stitch all the way back to the corner. People in the chat did mention that you can just slip stitch forward all the way to the corner, which is also correct. And you could also just break the yarn and join a new yarn here at the corner. Was that clear? Can we continue to the next diagram? With diagrams, usually start asking questions while I'm crocheting it. Before I start, it all looks clear. Yeah, Catherine. I do with diagrams what I always do with patterns. So I have this habit from when I was in school. When I get a test, the first thing I do is I read through all the test. I don't read the first question, answer it, read the second question, answer it. I first go through the whole test and read all the questions, and then I go back and start answering. So I do the same with crochet patterns. I first read through all the pattern before I start working it, and I do the same with charts. I first look through and make sure that I understand all the things before I work on it. And when we finish talking about the specific diagrams that I wanted to show you today at the end of the live stream, I will also give you some tips and tricks of how you can work on your diagram to make it clearer for you. Understood, Professor. If you are consistent with making a bunch of the same style of square, it will look good whichever you choose. That's correct. That is correct. You have to make lunch for the hard-working husband. Okay. It's very important to keep him happy if he pays for the yarn. All right. See you later, Tracy. That made me laugh. Debbie, you read the whole pattern first? Yes. Yes. Okay, so if there are no questions or issues with the specific one, I'm going to move on to the next one. I gotta make it smaller too. No, that's too small. Wait, I'm gonna put it like this. I hope that's okay. I'm only hiding like the top of some stitches, so I hope that's okay. Okay. Can you guys see this? I will give you guys, because we just spoke about, you should look at the diagram before you start working it. So I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds to look at the diagram before I start talking about it. And you can already write in the chat if there are things that bother you, seem odd to you, you don't understand. Let me know. What helped me was a picture of the finished project and making it big enough to count the stitches. Are you still talking about converting the patterns to left-handed? These are pretty even on paper. Go to the left. There are no numbers. Of course there are numbers. Did I make it too small? Here are the numbers. This is row number 1, this is row number 2, this is row number 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna give you guys a few more seconds to look at it and try to... What might help you guys is if you try to look at them and try to think, how do I work this? And then tell me if there's a problem. Or not a problem, but something that's different from what we spoke about. It's not a problem, okay? It's something that's a little different from everything we spoke about until now. You needed your glasses. Deborah says, thank you for this. Charts to me always looked like a bunch of spit up. I'm I'm happy I can help. I'm really happy that in general the general response to the Yarniversity series is puts me in awe every single time. So very happy that so many people find it interesting and saying that it's useful. That's, you know, that's what I'm here for. That's why I'm putting all this effort into this stuff, conveying knowledge to other people, helping them, being better at the craft that they love. That's, you know, that's what a Yarniversity is for. It's why we started it, and it's what we're gonna keep going. It uses a magic ring. Yeah, that's correct. Where does row 2 end? That's a good question, Lori. We'll talk about it in a second. Okay, so let's try to read this diagram together. Top left has an S letter. Is that skip stitch? Where? Top left? I think that's a 5. Are you talking about the 5? The number 5 row? There are no stitches in between. Okay, people are starting to see it. Are you kidding me? I have learned so much and appreciate this very much. I'm very happy, Jean. The chain 3 on row 2, the start and end of each cluster of stitches. Okay, so here is what we have here. So yeah, some of you have already noticed that this starts with a magic circle and not with a few stitches. We spoke about that before. Every pattern that you have that starts with a magic circle, you can alternate to a chain 4 and slip stitch into this first chain, and every pattern that starts with a chain 4 and slip stitch can be alternated the other way around to a magic circle. So just so you know that, even if the diagram says make a magic circle, it will work just the same if you do it with chain 4. Here we start with the chain 3 and we work all those double crochets, and then we slip stitch here, and then we work row 2. So row 2 is a chain 3, and then work this fan, this 5 double crochets into the top of this stitch here, and then chain 3 and slip stitch that chain 3 into this stitch. You see? So the row begins here as we slip stitch, and then we chain 3 and we work the fan into this stitch, and after we work that last stitch here, we chain 3, but we slip stitch that chain 3 into the next double crochet, and then we slip stitch again to the next double crochet, chain 3, work the fan, chain 3, and slip stitch to the double crochet, slip stitch to the next double crochet, work the fan. You guys see that? Is row number 2 clearer now with all the chains? Runaway needle red. I don't see how one group of cluster stitches go to the next without chain stitches. I hope that what I just explained made it clear. It's a very interesting pattern. You'd love to try it, Catherine? Yes. It's even, I think it's even more interesting than it looks on paper, because if you look at the last row, there are some working in the back loop only and so on. Hi Digo Crochet, welcome. I hope you don't get weird ads like Lori. Yes, it's clear. Okay, good. So we finished row 2 and we ask ourselves, well, how do I finish my row? I finish my row with this slip stitch here. How do I go up a row? We change color. That was correct. Catherine guessed it before, and she said going up between the rows, there's a change of color, and she was correct. This pattern actually combines two different things that I wanted to show you guys. We were talking before about putting our eyes to where the slip stitches are. So we see here we have some weird stitches, or some that we are not used to, and the double crochets, the clusters don't connect to each other because we always slip stitch to the bottom row and slip stitch to the next stitch to go up again. That's one thing about this pattern. Another thing about this pattern is it has a color change. So my row ends here, and then I have to start my new color here, but there are no slip stitches anywhere to tell me that I need to slip stitch there. And then I join my color here, and I work 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 chains, and then I work this fan, and then I work chains, and then wait, where does this stitch go? Do you see that? There is a double crochet here. It's a double crochet. Don't be fooled by its length, because we know we are smart. We look at what the chart says, and this stitch here still only has one slip on it, so it is a double crochet. But where does it go? It does not go in this round. Where does it go? Where does this stitch go? Can someone tell me? Where do I put my needle in order to work that stitch? Someone figure it out. Still don't see how to end, and I can't see how to get to row 3. Lori, I hope that was clear when I said it was a color change. Is there a direction indicator as to the location of the row number? Normally the numbers are to the right of the row, so when the row goes counterclockwise, or most diagrams go counterclockwise, as we said, and so the numbers will be to the right of the row. I lost the chat. Is there an extended double crochet from previous rows? No, I've never done that before. I'm glad I can show you new things. It's been 2 years since I've played with a written pattern to make doilies, and I'm looking so forward to getting back into it. This is a refreshing course. I'm very happy. Into the magic circle? No. Between the stitches in row round. That is correct, Julie. That is correct. From row round, it goes into row 1. It goes into row 1. You are all correct, but it goes, like Julie said, between the stitches. So this is row 1, and we work this stitch from row 3 into the space between these two stitches. So if you remember, when we worked row 2, we worked these weird shells that end with a slip stitch, and then we slip stitch to the next stitch. And now we work this row, or this double crochet, in the space in between those two stitches. That's why there's no chain in between those fans here. Okay, and then we continue, we work the row. So every time we get to those long stitches, those are just regular double crochets, but they are working the spaces between the stitches from row 1. And at the end of the row, we slip stitch here on top of our beginning chain. Okay, was that clear? Good, everyone got it. It was between the stitches, in between the 2 double crochet from row 1. On overlay crochet doing mandalas, you get those. That is exactly correct. That is exactly what it is. It is a stitch from the previous, or from a higher row, that goes in a space, or sometimes it will even go inside a stitch, but in this case it goes in the space between the stitches from not the row before, but 2 rows down. And we can even get ones that goes 3 rows down or 4 rows down. That happens. So the long line doesn't mean to pull a long loop. No, it does not. It is a regular double crochet. I think we were talking about it last week. I gave you guys the link to the diagram key website with all the different stitches, and we spoke about the fact that double crochets have one line on them, and the number of lines that you have on the stitch is the number of times you yarn over. We indicated that last week. We said if it's a double crochet, you yarn over once, it's only one line on top. If it's a treble or a triple crochet, you yarn over twice, and then there are 2 lines and 3 and so on. So the fact that the line here is long, it's just because they wanted to show you where the stitches go, so they had to put the line long enough so that you will understand it goes in between those stitches from the previous row, from the row number 1 and not the previous row. It does not mean that the stitch itself is any longer. Okay? Wonderful, everyone. Got it? It will make the figure more star-shaped. That is correct. It will make it look a bit like a flowery kind of. It will sort of pull down those middle stitches. And when you do it 2 colors, it will look like the colors from the previous row are sort of like peeking in between those windows. For those of you who... It's very hard to say crochet out loud like that without showing you what I mean. Okay, so what I wanted to show you in this specific diagram is the fact that, well, we already saw color changes in the second diagram that I showed you guys, so I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that there is a color change here too. But the main 2 things I wanted to show you is watch your slip stitches. We're not sure what's going on here. Where does the row begin? Where does it end? How do we go from one cluster to the next? You gotta look out for the slip stitch. There's a slip stitch here and a slip stitch there. So you slip stitch from one stitch to the next to begin the next cluster. And the most important thing actually that I wanted to show you about this pattern is those stitches that go down a few rows that don't work in the row that are straight below, but they are going 2 rows down, and to indicate that even though they look longer, they are not actually longer. They are still just a regular double crochet because they only have 1 line on them. Okay. You like this diagram a lot. I'm very happy. As I've said, all these diagrams that I'm showing you guys today, they will come up on the blog this week, and I really hope that you guys will, make some of them. And if you do, don't forget to, if you post it on Instagram, tag me, use the hashtag Yarniversity. If you post it on our Facebook group, we can all see it. And if you're not yet members of our Facebook group, join us. And if you don't yet follow me on Instagram, do. I show a lot of stuff on there. And what else? All right, I'm gonna go back to me now before we move on to talk about the next form that I wanted to talk about. So if you have any questions about working from the circle, any of the 4, working from the center. If you have any questions, I'm already thinking about the next form. So if you have any questions about working a diagram from the center, any of the 4 diagrams that I showed up until now, anything that was not clear, this is the time to ask. I want to remind you all that we have the student discount code GET10. It's good for the Teespring shop as well as my Etsy shop. It's still good until Monday, including Monday, and it will give you 10% off on everything on either shop. What else? Oh, the giveaway from 2 weeks ago, prize wasn't claimed. So if you entered it and you don't know if you won, you might want to go back and watch last week's video, last week's live chat, and see if you are maybe the winner. And if you want to enter last week's giveaway, there's still time until the end of today's live stream. You can still go and enter that giveaway for the little Frenchie doggy set. And today's giveaway, so when this live stream is finished, if you come back to this video, the one you're watching right now, and comment down below, then you will enter for this giveaway, which we will draw next week. That's the way it works every week. Next week we are drawing a winner. So the prize for today's live that you can win next week is this beautiful hank of recycled silk, sari silk yarn from Darn Good Yarn. It is 50 grams and 230 yards, which makes it a lace weight. It's very, very soft in blue ombre colors. And to go along with it is this awesome box of rainbow colored locking stitch markers. So this is the prize that you can get this week, and in order to enter this giveaway, all you have to do is come back to this video once it goes into replay, when the live stream is over, and comment down below, and we'll draw the winner next week. What else? Oh, last week I also drew a new winner to my 2,000 subscriber giveaway, and that was the new winner because the first winner did not contact me for 2 months, so I had to draw a new winner. I drew a new winner and I announced it on last week's live, and that winner still didn't contact me either. So if I don't get contacted by them by next week, then I am going to have to draw a third winner, which is something that never happened to me before. So I would just want to ask you guys, if you enter any of my giveaways, or if you comment on any of the live streams in order to enter those giveaways, you please just come back to the video of the week after and make sure if you won. Okay. Here a slip stitch, there a slip stitch, everywhere a slip stitch. That's a good song, Catherine. Pretty silk, yes. How can you tell if there is a color change or not? Both of the last two diagrams have slip stitches not easily accessible without a color change. Well, Rose, to be honest, and this is something that's my personal opinion, but to be honest, there's no real way of telling unless there's some kind of text that comes with the diagram that says this is a color changing diagram, or the different colors are just to help you see the different rows. So if that is not indicated in a wordly way, there's not really a way of knowing. But to be honest, color changing is the maker's choice. So if you don't want to change color every row, you don't have to. You just have to slip stitch all the way to where the next row begins. And if you want to change color, then you cut the yarn and you add your new yarn where the next row indicates a beginning. So that's pretty much your choice. If you want to make the entire pattern or the entire diagram in the same yarn and you don't want to break your yarn and change every time, what you gotta do is find where the next row begins and slip stitch over there. And changing magic circle to chain, how do you go about it? I added the stitches and third or fourth, it makes sense. Becky, what do you mean? You mean with starting a pattern, whether using the magic circle or a chain 4 and slip stitch? I don't use the magic circle. Not because I don't know how to do it, but because I don't feel it's safe enough. I feel like chaining 4 and slip stitching into the first chain in order to make that circle and then working into that circle makes it more durable, like the entire thing that I'm making, that it wouldn't fall apart that easily, and I don't have to make sure that I knot it very well and everything. So I always use that method. I change between them no matter like what pattern it is. If you are more comfortable with the magic circle and the pattern indicates you need to chain 4 and slip stitch, just use the magic circle. It's the same. If the pattern indicates you need a magic circle and you prefer to chain 4, it's always a chain 4. The number of beginning chains in order to make that little ring does not change. It's always a chain 4, slip stitch into the first one, then you have a circle, and into that circle you work. Not into the chains, not into those 4 chains, but into that circle that those 4 chains make. Whether you use this method or this method, it's your decision. Hi Denise, welcome. Thank you for joining us. This calls for a second cup of coffee. Go get a coffee, Lori. All right. Any more questions? Any more anything before we move on to the next form? All right, I already opened the picture of the next one, and I'm just gonna wait a few more seconds to see if anyone has any more questions before I move on. To anyone who's just joining us, please don't forget to give this live stream a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would very much appreciate it if you consider subscribing to my channel. If you are enjoying this Yarniversity content, I would very much appreciate it if you share it with your friends, talk about it in other places, let people know it is happening. You guys seem to really enjoy this series, and I work very hard every week to come up with new topics and new things to talk about, which will be interesting and useful for everyone. So, you know, I would very much appreciate you guys spreading the word about it. Julie, you have to go. Okay, thank you for being here today. Thank you, Julie, for joining us, and have a nice day. Yeah, and I would love you all, you know, to join the Yarniversity family. I will show you guys again my Yarniversity hoodie. For those of you who didn't see it yet, I got this off of the Teespring shop. And if you want any Yarniversity merchandise, you can get it at the Teespring shop. The link is in the description box below the video, and you can get 10% off if you use this discount code here, get 10. It's good today and tomorrow, so all the way through Monday. On both the Teespring shop and my Etsy shop, on everything, it will get you 10% off. What else? I think I said it all. All right, so I don't see any new questions. So with you guys' permission, we're gonna talk about circles. All right, so this is obviously a circle. Just like the squares that we saw before, it is worked from the middle. This is pretty much a very basic V-stitch mandala. I'm sure that any of you ever worked, I don't know, the simplest circle vest or anything like that, have come across a pattern like this in the past. With your permission, I'm going to make it a little bigger just for a second. I'm not covering too much of it, but I want you to see what I'm talking about. So here we have our beginning. We always ask ourselves our 3 questions. Where's my first stitch? It looks like a magic circle here, but we just said you can, if you want, alternate for the chain 4 and slip stitch to the first chain. You can do whatever method you find best. How do I go up a row? That's question number 2. I see here 1, 2, 3 chains. And then something very weird happens here. right? So there is a slip stitch here. Now I want to begin by saying, when we work the pattern, we always assume, first of all, for those of you who think that it might be flipped or whatever, no, the numbers here with the red dots show the beginning of the row. This is still worked counterclockwise, just all the patterns that we spoke about before. You can change colors with this pattern, or you can not change color. It doesn't matter. The row ends and begins in the same place. There's nothing tricky about this. But I want to draw your attention to the fact that there is a slip stitch here, that when we begin the row, we see a chain 3, and then actually we have to chain 1 more and then start working, but this dot here is the end of the row. So the row in this specific case does not end with chaining to the top of the chain 3. It actually ends with slip stitching into the space between that chain 3 and the next double crochet. So tell me, you guys all, that you see that. We have a chain 3 here, which is actually a chain 4 because the next stitch is here, this one double crochet. Chain 1 double crochet, chain 1 double crochet, chain 1 double crochet, and so on. And at the end of the round, I do a double crochet, chain 1, and I don't slip stitch into the 3rd chain. I slip stitch into the space between that chain and that double crochet. You guys see that? Let me know if that's clear. All right. Wilma says she sees it. I hope you all see it well. So we see this pattern, we see this diagram. It is no different than one of the square diagrams that we saw before. It is still worked from the middle in the same way. We still ask ourselves the same 3 questions. Where's my first stitch? How do I go up a row? How do I end my row? And we still can change colors. We still can not change colors. This specific pattern gives us all the choices that we want. But we do have to draw our attention into with this specific pattern is where we slip stitch into at the end of the row. Here we slip stitch in the first row, we slip stitch into that space. Now on the next row, we chain 3, we put 1 double crochet here. And based on what we spoke about until now, and based on everything that we saw and everything that I mentioned, I want you guys to tell me if this chain 3 of row number 2 counts as a stitch or does not count as a stitch. Tell me now. Beautiful work says, yes, I see it and it makes sense. Wonderful. Lori says she sees it and it is clear because you explained it. But I would not have understood that without you. Well, Lori, you should have me on speed dial. This is a good one. I wish they did that in every diagram. You mean with the dots to show you? Or Anita, you're gonna have to watch a replay. Okay, your dad's having a bad day. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that, but I wish you a good day and I will see you on the replay. So what do you guys say? Look at the pattern, look at where the chains are, look at where we slip stitch into at the end of the row. Remember what I just said, where's the black dot? So does the chain 3 in the beginning of row 2 count as a stitch or does not count as a stitch? Wilma says it doesn't count. Maribel says it does count. Alisa says it does. Lori says it does not. Debbie says it does. It counts. Now it counts. No, it doesn't. All right, guys. So I was talking about this one. Yeah, I was there. I said row number 2. So this chain 3 in row number 2 does not count as a stitch. How do we know it does not count as a stitch? Because at the end of the row, I confused my rows. I confused my row. I'm very, very sorry. I confused my row. So at the end of row 2, it does count as a stitch. How do we know it counts as a stitch? Because there is a slip stitch here into it, and then there's another slip stitch to begin the next row onto the next stitch. Do you see that? So man, I hope I did not confuse you guys with my confusion. But I will start again. Yes, it does. It does count as a stitch. How do we know it counts as a stitch? Because we slip stitch into it before we slip stitch into the next one. Was that clear? All right, I'm really sorry. This is what happens when I am live and I have to talk to you guys as well as looking at the screen. So what I meant to say was, it does. How do we know it does? Because we have to slip stitch into it. Okay? So if it did not count as a stitch, we will just have to slip stitch into the next one. Okay. I'm sorry. And if I confused anyone, then I'm sorry. See, you guys have to understand it. If I was just recording this video and putting it on, then it would have been easier for me. But I say this every single week, being live on YouTube, even though this is already, I think, lesson number 9 of the Yarniversity. It's still very hard for me. Not like an on-camera person. But okay, now everyone gets it. It is now, and it's part of a V-stitch, exactly. We see, if it's not clear to us that at the end of the row we have to slip stitch into, what we could look is at the rest of the stitches in the round. So we see that this round is all chain 1 V-stitch, or it's not really a V-stitch, yeah, but it's a chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1. So there's a double crochet missing here, so the chain 3 does count as a stitch. Am I seeing red dot and the black dot? Yes, you are. I will talk about it in a second. Is the first double crochet of the row? It is the first double crochet of the row. That is correct, Becky. Makes sense. I thought because there are 2 double crochet in a row. Hey Dee! Hi, thank you for being here. Dee, I know you're going live in an hour. I hope I will be there for yours. We are definitely going to finish here before Dee, but I'm not sure that I will be able to come because I'm gonna have to go have dinner first. But hi Dee, good to see you. I'm doing great. Okay. Based on the following stitches, where it shows 2 double crochet following it, so I assumed it is okay. Good. Yeah. So of course you can use whatever method is easier for you in order to determine whether it is a stitch or not a stitch. Use it. I think the 2 easiest ways would be to either figure out, are we supposed to be slip stitching into it at the end of the row or not? Or look at the rest of the row and look at the repetition. In this specific case, it is very easy because it's a mandala kind of pattern. So the repetition in the row is all the same. There's not like special stitches in the middle of the row or anything like that. So when I go on to row number 3, I can see that I have 2 double crochets, 1 double crochets, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet. And at the end of the row, I have 1 double crochet, so the next one should be a 2 double crochet, which means my beginning chain counts as a stitch. Okay, I hope that was clear. So both of those ways are okay. In a second, we will talk about all the ways which you can use to help yourself read the pattern easier. But I hope that that this was helpful. You can either look at the rest of the row, see what the repetition is, and then decide, does it count as a stitch or does it not? Or you can figure it out by, are we supposed to work into it or not? If we're either working a stitch into it in the next round, or if we are slip stitching it into it, or if we are working a stitch around it in one of the next rounds. If there's a stitch for row 4 that's going into, or like a front post double crochet going around it. If we're working the stitch, then it counts. If we're not working into it and the rest of the repetition in the row doesn't make sense, then it doesn't. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you with this specific mandala. And so let me know if you guys have any questions about that mandala, and I'm going to already pull up the next form that I wanted to show you guys. So I'm gonna wait and see if there are any questions, because there's a delay between you guys seeing me and me seeing you. So I'm gonna wait a few seconds and see. If there are no questions, then we will continue. I only have I think 3 or 4 more diagrams to show you, but actually only 2 more kinds of diagrams that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So I will once again remind you all, if you haven't yet opened a separate tab and went back to last week's live, to comment on there and enter into the giveaway, because after I finish showing you all the diagrams I wanted to talk to you about, we are going to draw a winner from last week's live. All right, I don't see any questions, so I am going to move on. And this is, wait, let me make it maybe one more smaller. Let's see if it wouldn't be too small. All right, this is a diagram. It's drawn a little different than maybe what we got used to until now. Someone thought that it will be easier to have those arrows indicating the directionality going through the row, rather than having them on the side of the row to indicate where everything begins and ends. Lori is already saying oi. But, well, I wanted you first to look at it as it is. This is a pattern or a diagram of sort of like a maple leaf kind of thing. And I will now enlarge it a bit so that you can get a better look at each row and what it says exactly. But yeah, maybe you can see now there are blue arrows telling us that this row is worked in this direction, and kind of like pinkish arrows telling us that this row goes in this direction. It appears as if the first few rows, all the way up to here, I believe it's row 6, are worked in a sort of like a circle, or what is it, a 1 2 3 4, is it a pentagon? No, it's not a hexagon, it's an octagon, I believe. I think it's an octagon. So it looks like a doily. It can be a doily. It can also be a shawl. I have seen someone makes it into a maple leaf shawl they called it. But I want there, okay, you can see a lot of things in this pattern, but what I wanted to show you here is that this is a pattern that is combined. It's like a hybrid. It begins with working in the round without turning your work. So rows 1 to 6 are worked in the round, just as we are used to, counterclockwise, chaining up to go up a row. When you get to row 7, it tells you you have to start flipping your work every row. So in row 7, you work in this direction all the way until the end of the row. And then you don't work into those stitches, you leave them. And when you get here, you chain up, turn your work, and work back row 8 in the other direction. You get here, you chain up, and you work back in the other direction, and so on. And then once again here, at the end of row 9, you don't continue. You don't work this. You end row 9 here. Sorry, my marker was in the wrong place again. So row 9 works this way, and here it stops. So you do not continue working these stitches. When you get to this point in row 9, you chain up, and then you work row 10 back here, and row 11, and so on, until you get here. And here again in row 15, you leave these stitches, you don't work them anymore. You chain up here, and you start working this way, and so on until the end of the pattern. So yes, I am going to make it bigger. I just wanted first to show this to you from afar so you will get the idea of what the shape of this pattern is. But I'm going to go closer now so you guys can get a better look at it. Setting around. Lori, I hope that was clear, that what I just explained. The blue and pink arrows show the turn of your work. Exactly. The blue and pink arrows show you the direction in which you are working. So the first few rounds are worked in a round. And then comes a spot in the diagram where you stop working in the round and start turning your work every single row. And that's the directionality of these arrows. I don't know why they did it with these arrows. Like I said, someone thought it would be, I don't know, maybe look better. But if you remember from last week's class, we can also know which way we work because of where the numbers are. So the row always begins from the side where the row number is and ends on the other side. And if the number on the next side is on the wrong side, so we have to turn our work. We learned that last week. Okay, the shorter area is against the back of your neck. Oh, you mean if you make it into a shawl? Yeah, yeah. I've seen someone make something very similar. They did it. Theirs was how do you say it? Symmetrical. This one is sort of asymmetrical because each one is short. They are not all the same length. There's like one long one, and then this one is a little shorter, this one is a little shorter, this one is a little shorter, and this one is, so it looks like it's not like symmetrical like this, it's like this. But I have seen someone make a symmetrical one. It's exactly the same pattern, you just stop on different rows. And then the short part, the one that doesn't go longer, is the one that goes here around your neck and then it wraps around you. It's called a maple leaf shawl. So, okay, so now you can all see those funny arrows going here. I personally, again, I think if you're a person who knows how to read patterns and you know that the number of the row the row number is always on the side in which you begin to work, then you don't need those arrows. But I think, I don't know, maybe someone tried to make it more friendly. Does it say how many double crochet to put in row 1 in the direction? The center chain is 8. No, I'm very sorry if that confuses anyone. The number 8 in the middle does not say to chain 8. I think it's just to clarify that it is an octagon. It has 8, but the beginning is just like I said, any pattern that starts from the middle. And yes, how many double crochets in row 1? Well, we can see here. This is I'm sorry. 1 second. I think it feels like I'm going to sneeze, but it doesn't happen. Sorry. Okay, so row 1 is those double crochets here. And row 2 is this chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet, and so on. Okay? Was that clear? Sounds beautiful. I guess you mean the maple leaf shawl. Okay, but again, let's not go specifically into this pattern, because that was not my intention. Was not to start talking about how you work this pattern. My intention was to show you a pattern that is sort of like a hybrid, because we talked about going clockwise, counterclockwise. Do I turn my work? Do I not turn my work? Here we have a diagram that is showing both. So I'm gonna once again pull back, and I know you guys cannot see specific stitches, but because I didn't bring up this pattern in order to talk about specific stitches, then once again I will put this up, all the charts that I'm showing you guys today. If anyone is interested in making them or having them, then they will be on the blog sometime during this coming week. So don't worry, you will have all the time in the world that you want to look at them and study the stitches. But what I wanted to show you is a pattern that is sort of like a hybrid. It tells us that up until this point here, up until row 7, it is worked as we are used to, in the round, in the counterclockwise, for 6 rows. And up from row 7, we start turning our work every second row or every other row. And we not only that we turn our work and work back and forth, we also don't work all of our stitches. So here we leave those unworked. Here this side will end, and we will continue working, and here we will stop working on this little edge here, and our shawl or doily or whatever we are making will only grow here. And it will happen again here. This row will end this side, and it will happen again here. So this is what I wanted to show you with this pattern, is a pattern that is showing us a hybrid of working, a diagram of working back and forth in rows, and a diagram of working in a round. Okay? So let me know if that was clear, so we can move on to the next kind. I'm gonna pull up the next picture, and you guys tell me if that sort of pattern was clear. Tracy, you gotta run. All right, I'm happy this was helpful for you, and thank you very much for saying that. And yeah, don't forget to come back to the replay and comment to enter into the giveaway. And thank you for being here, Tracy. I appreciate it. And hey, Laura! Laura from Mad Mimi's Crochet and Farming. Hi, welcome. This is cool. I'm happy, very happy that you're enjoying it. Okay, Debbie, I don't know who asked about what stitches it is and so on. I don't want to go into that again because this is not what we are discussing right now. But I will put all the charts that I'm showing you guys today on the blog. You guys can look into them however you want. And if you ever want to ask me a question like, is this stitch that or that, you can always email me and I will answer any question that you have. But I don't want to get into it now and start telling is it a double crochet? Is it not, because we are not working those patterns together. We are talking about what those patterns are and how to work them. Hi, Tamara. You missed most of it. Yeah, you can always watch the replay, and don't worry, we are still in the midst of it. You have no idea how to read charts. If you're really a beginning and have absolutely no idea how to read charts, Tamara, then you first have to watch part 1 of this chart series. It is back on my channel. If you go into my channel and you go to playlists, then you will get the full Yarniversity playlist with all the lessons that we had until now. And one lesson before this one, I think it is called Introduction to Crochet Charts. That one is the first one that you want to watch if you're an absolutely beginner in reading charts. Hi, Helen. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. All right. So I didn't see any more questions about that hybrid pattern. So I'm going to move on to the next one. And now I want to show you a pattern that is what we call a partial pattern. So this is a pattern that is worked in a round, just like we talked about before. It's worked counterclockwise, just as we talked about before. And it is, it doesn't change colors or anything. It's a regular basic pattern that's worked from the center, just as we were talking about all day today. But we do not have a diagram of all of it. What we have is a partial diagram that only represents the repetition rows. So it starts here. You remember, where is my first stitch? My first stitch is here. And once again, I'm not making this bigger because it is not important to us what the stitches are. I am teaching the kind of chart or the kind of diagram and not the stitches. Okay, so it's really not important right now. But where is my first stitch? The first stitch is here. How do I go up a row? There are clear indications of chains in each one of the rows. Where does my row end? There are also clear indications of the slip stitches and everything in this pattern. What is different about this pattern than the ones that we saw until now is that it shows us the full round of the pattern all the way until this row. And from this row, it only shows us a part of the pattern. And the other part, so the rest of this circle, we will have to work the same as we worked here. So you know how when we have a written pattern, we have a line that says, there's like a little star, and then it says 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then it says repeat from this star 8 times, yeah? So this is what we see here is the diagram version of that row. You know, if it helps you, imagine a little star in the beginning here, and then tell yourself, oh, so 1 double crochet, chain 3, 5 double crochets, chain 3, 5 double crochets, chain 3, repeat until end of row. Yeah, that is what this diagram is. It's a diagram that is only showing us the repetition, and we have to repeat this repetition all the way around our circle. Okay? it is called a partial diagram. So if at any way or at any time you come across a pattern online or in a book or whatever, and the word partial is showing in the title or in anywhere else, then you know that that it will only show you the parts of the row that are the repetition. It will not show you the whole circle. This is, like I said, this is the visual translation of this little star that we have in written patterns. You have to go. Bye, Francie. Thank you for being here today. Hello, Jen. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Jan? How do we pronounce your name? Can you phonetically tell me so that I remember it for next time? But thank you for joining, and hello to Washington. And yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up when you walk in the door. And if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, I would very much appreciate it if you guys consider subscribing. And I am going to take a sip of my wine and wait for you guys to tell me if that was clear. I don't see anything. I'm going to already open the next one while you guys tell me if you understood that. All right, it makes sense to you guys, so you get it. That's wonderful. Wait, let me make this one smaller. So I already pulled out the next one, but I have to make it way smaller because this looks to be like a very big picture. Anita, I think things are sorted out for now, and holy cow, that looks like a complicated diagram. Anita, did you just join us back right now? I would understand why the jump between the two parts would appear difficult, but I promise you it is not. I am trying to build it up, and I hope that I'm building it up in a way that is easy for you guys to understand. Tamara, it makes sense to you. That's wonderful. All right. So once again, I'm not going into what the stitches are, how many chains, and so on. Lori says it looks like a henna tattoo. So once again, this is a mandala sort of diagram. I've got 1 second going to make it just a tad smaller to show you something, and then we'll make it large again. When you look at it here, you will see that it says when it's complete, the complete circle is about 50 centimeters diameter. Now, that is not specifically important to us right now because I think that, I mean, we're talking about just the diagram and not the finished product, but it seems to be some kind of diagram of a doily, and it's supposed to be about 50 centimeters in diameter. But of course, you can use, we know, because we are students of the Yarniversity, and we know that we can convert any pattern they give us. So we can use a larger or a heavier weight yarn. We can use a larger hook, and we can make it into a circle vest, into a circle shawl. We can make it into 1,000 different things using the same pattern. So this is just, for us, is just a pattern or a diagram of a mandala. Yes, this is what you do with that lace weight yarn if you want to make it into a doily or whatever. But like I just said, you can make it into 1,000 different things using the same diagram. Just, make it whatever you want. So, once again, what we have here is a partial diagram. And we were talking about this before. We know how to work this. So for the first few rows, we will have the entire circle. And from a certain row in the pattern, it will no longer show us the entire circle. It will only show us the repetition stitches. So the ones that we have to repeat all the way around. And it is up to us to figure out the repetition and continue working it all the way around. Now, what the good thing about diagrams is that you can pretty much do it with any diagram. You look at the first few stitches and you just continue working the rest of the row the same. Here, those partial diagrams, what they do is pretty much they just save space or effort for the person drawing them. Instead of drawing the entire mandala, then this way I can show you a diagram of something which is, according to this picture, supposed to be 50 centimeters in diameter, but I can show it to you in one picture, in one page of a book, for example, and I don't have to draw the entire mandala, because all I have to do is draw the few repetition stitches, and it's up to us to work them all the way around. All I have to know is, you remember, where's my first stitch? How do I go up a row, and where does my row end? So as long as I have the beginning and the ending of the row on the chart, and I do, and I will make it up, we'll make it bigger just for 1 second so you guys can see it. But the ending and the beginning of the rows are very clearly marked on here. You can see here is row number 7. There is a slip stitch. This is the repetition, so this is what I'll have to work all the way around. And it even shows me here the end of the row and where I will have to slip stitch into. So as long as I have where's my first stitch, how do I go up a row, and how do I finish my row, I don't have to have the entire picture of the entire thing. The partial diagrams are just as good. It's for thread, yeah, crochet thread. That works too. Shawls, yes. Laura says she loves working with charts. Do have to use a highlighter with them sometimes to mark what I have done. Yes, Laura, we were just saying that once I finish, this is the last diagram that I have to show you guys. And once I am clear that you guys are all clear on that and that everyone understood everything I said, we're going to talk about a few tips and tricks that we can use in order to work our diagrams in a way that's easier for us to understand. You do find charts easier to read than reading patterns. I do too. I personally prefer it, but it's, everyone, we all learn in different ways. That is why some people prefer YouTube tutorials, because they can look at the hands of the person making it, and they're a visual learner, and it's easier for them that way. There are people who prefer reading the pattern, reading the words, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, and there are people who find it easier to work from diagrams. So we all learn in different ways, but this is something I said last week. Knowing, or the skill of reading diagrams, is a very important skill as a crocheter these days, because there are all those intricate patterns coming out that come with a chart, and each row can be this long if you read it, if the written words, the written pattern, the written word pattern. You can have a row that's like a whole page. It's a whole, just the stitches in a row, just to say the stitches in a row is like a whole page. And if you have a diagram of it, then it's easier to work, I think, than, reading those 40 words again. Catherine says you prefer partial diagrams, less busy, and you only need to repeat it anyway. That is correct, yeah. All right, so anyone, any questions specifically about any of the diagrams we spoke about today, specifically about the squares, specifically about the circles, specifically about the partial ones? Anything you want to ask it now. I'm gonna do like Q&A for a few seconds, and then we're gonna talk about some tips and tricks that will help you work your diagrams or make it easier for you to work your diagrams. You feel like you're learning a new language. Yes, Lori, I love languages too. Bye-bye, have a good day too. Thanks for being here today. Yeah, it is a whole other language, but I do feel, personally, I feel like as a crocheter, is really important, even if you don't use all three, you know, video tutorials, written patterns, diagrams, it is important to know how to use all three. So even if you, in the end, we all use whatever is comfortable for us, but it is very important to know all three of them, because sometimes some patterns only come in one of those forms, and then if I really want to make that pattern, or for some reason I need to make that pattern, then it helps that I know all three of them. It makes me a better crafter. Sense of tibia is that I will need to watch no replay, and it does feel like a language. You will need to watch no replay. Oh, okay. All right, Jean, I'm happy. I guess that means that we are understood. So it also forms the V-stitch. What forms the V-stitch? Yes, Debbie, exactly. All right, so some tips and tricks of how can we make a diagram. I get a diagram. I have a stitch. You know what? I like you guys. I will do this with you guys. I have a diagram. This is a diagram of a shallow. Wait, we have some questions. Anita is asking, is there a site that has a bunch of diagrams we can go to practice working them up? Anita, I don't know about a specific site, but I would just Google, you know, just put into Google crochet chart. You can even put a specific thing. You want crochet granny square diagram. You will get thousands of them. Go into the picture, into the picture section of the search, and you will get 1,000 different pictures. Just choose one and practice. Or, you know, if you want to practice color charts that we did last week, just write crochet color chart snowman. I don't know. Google is a wonderful tool. All you have to do is turn it into image results, choose one, and practice. And of course, like I said, all the charts that I am showing today, if you want to practice with one specific chart from the charts that I am showing today, they will all be added sometime during this week. I will try to do it sooner than later, but you guys know how my weeks are. Sometimes things happen and things get out of control, but I will definitely try to do it as soon as possible so that you guys can practice from the charts, and they will all go on the blog. Becky says she'd rather had a picture of the finished project than the diagram. That works too. And Pinterest does have a lot of them too. That is correct. I personally, I hope nobody, you know, takes it. Don't nobody take it personally or anything like that. I don't have problem with Pinterest. I don't have problem with people using Pinterest. I know a lot of people love it. I personally, I don't get it. I'm sorry. But you know, 3 years ago I also did not get Instagram, and now I'm on there all the time. So maybe it will come to me one day. But right now I'm in the point where I'm like, who needs that? Again, don't nobody get offended by me. You guys all know that everything I say on my lives, I'm not saying anything in intention to offend anyone. But me personally, Pinterest is like a why do I need that kind of thing right now? Because there's Google, and you just turn Google into images and you get everything you need. Tamara says you would think you could look at pattern that has characters with written instruction to help you read the charts. Yes, definitely. If you have both, comparing the both is a good trick. Think you'll check your library and secondhand bookstore for some diagram books. Yes, Lori, definitely go for it. All right, so some tips and tricks. We spoke about it already last week. I'm gonna say it again now, and also Laura in the chat mentioned it just a few seconds ago. Color. Print out your chart and color it in different colors. Just as this chart that you see now on the screen. This is a shawl chart. I believe it is called the Serafina shawl, if I am not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I have to check it again. It's a free pattern, and it's you can easily find it. I don't get TikTok either, Lori. So color it. Get your pen out, marker whatever parts you need, marker it in different colors, whatever helps you see it better. If you want to just marker over the repetition, you know, if you have a whole pattern and you say, oh wait, but this I have a diagram of the whole row, but actually the whole row is just a repetition of this tiny part here, you can marker the part with the repetition and just work that if it makes it easier for you. But definitely coloring on your chart makes it way easier to work. So just, you know, print your chart out and color it out. Helps, makes wonders. Even if you just like I did here on this one, if you just color every row a different color so you know the different rows from one another, for example. And you know, I am now on the purple row. So if I work at the stitch and I'm in the middle and I don't remember what row I'm on, at least I know it doesn't matter row 1, 2, 3, or 4. I remember I'm on the purple right now. So that, if that helps you. Catherine says, Pinterest is a great place to save links you encounter. I have often thought I would find something again and didn't. Oh, okay. So you use it to just kind of save up stuff you found. What program you use to create the diagrams? And no worries, I'm not offended. I didn't get hashtag. No, you used to. I also didn't get hashtag in the beginning. Naughty Knitting Sags. Hi, hey, what? Oh, I want to show you something. Wait. Look. It's my current whip. I'm not going to show you what it is because it's still a surprise, but look, it's in a Naughty Knitting sack. It's still a Christmas sack because I started it around Christmas time and I thought it would be very festive. And if you guys don't know Naughty Knitting Sacks, then I have a whole video about Naughty Knitting Sacks on my channel. Just go back to my channel. There's a playlist called Independent Seller, and one of the videos there is all about Naughty Knitting Sacks. And if you don't know her, I don't know how you don't know her yet. There are so many people gushing about her all over YouTube. But yeah, this is the inside of my... Don't look at my whip. It's the inside of my Naughty Knitting Sack. Yeah, I love Naughty Knitting Sacks. Go visit her. She's on Etsy. Kim says color charts are very helpful. Yes. So to the question, what program do you use? I don't know. I don't know because I personally even though it is easier for me, or I prefer to work from charts or from diagrams, I personally, when I write a pattern, I prefer to write it rather than draw it. It's just the way my mind works. Understanding a pattern for me is easier when I see it in a diagram. Writing a pattern up or coming up with a pattern is easy for me when I do it in word form. So I personally do not use any program to do that. I know a lot of people who draw them by hand and then they just, open Paint or whatever and do that. But I have not done any research into what kind of programs there are to do that, and I wonder how something like that will work. So if that's something that really interests you, I promise I would do the research that week. I have to research something for Lori as well for next week anyway, so I can look that up and give you guys the answer next week. Lori is still learning many things about crochet, so you love these drawings and tutorials and written patterns and photos, and you need it all. Well, that's what I'm here for, Lori, and I'm very glad that you find it useful. All right, so we spoke about coloring your charts, so it is easier for you guys to understand. Marking the repetitions, you can do it with color, you can just do it with pens. I have had people say, Rose is recommending stitch fiddle. Again, because I don't make charts, I don't know any of them, so I don't know what to tell you about that, but look it up. Let me know what you thought of it. I don't remember what I was saying. So if you have, someone mentioned it before, and that is a good trick. If your pattern includes both chart and written pattern, then it helps to compare the two. So if it's easier for you to work from a chart, or if you just want to practice working charts, then you can have the written instructions next to you so that you can refer to them whenever you are conflicted about what does the chart say. But me personally, I think I get more conflicted by the wording pattern than by the chart, because as I told you guys last week, when you look at a diagram, it shows exactly where each stitch goes and how many stitches you have to make. So I don't get conflicted that often. But when there is a conflict, it does help to have that written pattern next to it so you can see. For example, I tested a pattern a few months ago for Sis Homemade. If you don't know them, go look them out. They are the ones who created the beautiful Sis Love half circle shawl that we did as a call a few months ago. And they are wonderful. They're amazing designers. Everything they do is just wonderful and beautiful. And their patterns always come in chart form and written form, other than the half circle, the Sis Love half circle, which only comes in a diagram form. So I tested a pattern for them a few months back. It is called the Valkyria shawl, and it comes with a diagram as well as a written pattern. And there was one stitch in the diagram that I was so conflicted about where it went, because their diagrams, or in general their designs, are very intricate, and there are a lot of stitches going between one another, above one another. So when you look at the diagram, there was one stitch. I was like really conflicted about where does it go? Does it go into the stitch underneath it, or does it go between the two stitches underneath it? And I couldn't decide by the placing of that line. So I did go to the written pattern and compare what does it say, where does the stitch go. So if you have both of them, then it helps. It helps, and a good trick to understand better what the chart says will be to compare it always to the written one. In general, I think having both is very helpful, even if you're a person who prefers to read the written ones. It might be helpful for you in times when you're not sure. We did discuss last week 3 double crochet crochet 3, the difference between the two, so it helps to have a chart when you can look, oh wait, it says 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So comparing, if you have the two, having both of them together and keep comparing helps. All right, I'm gonna get you guys back to me. Unapologetically Mocha, hello, hi. Coloring the pattern, that might actually help me even if I highlight or strike a line through it. I still get it. You still get lost. Yeah, use colors. Use different colors, use different markers. It helps a lot. Lori, she said you've heard of something called Rebler for pattern writing, but you know nothing about it. Ginger at Yarn Geek was talking about it. All right. Ribbler. Oh, Catherine says it's a bit like Ravelry. I think that on Ribbler you can also like design your pattern on there or write your pattern on there. I'm not sure exactly, but again, because I'm an old-fashioned person, I prefer to just sit on my Word and type everything in. Of course, when there's like an app that does it for you, it's way easier, but I'm that kind of person. You guys all know me. I do things a long way. You're welcome, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Becky says she's been crocheting for almost 61 years and I will never call myself advanced or master because I'm still learning new stitches. I'm an advanced beginner. That's funny, Becky. She talked about it in the Affordably Geeky. I watched that one. I watched that one yesterday. I don't remember. I think, was that the one that she said that you can actually design your pattern on and then sell it directly from their platform? We're all advanced beginners here, guys. All right. So anyone has any other tricks and tips? I told you guys about coloring. I told you guys about comparing with the written chart. I told you guys about the 3 questions. Where is the first stitch? How do I go up a row? Where does my row end? We spoke about all the different ways to read the charts and the different kinds of charts and diagrams last week. If you guys missed last week, go back, watch last week's live. It's called Introduction to Crochet Charts. And so just, you know, practice makes perfect, guys. For those of you who missed or didn't have time or whatever, the homework from last week's live is still on the blog. You can still go find the charts, make them. You can still post them on Instagram, on the Facebook group, or whatever. We all like to see everyone learning and advancing together. You can email them to me. Some people email them to me as well. That's okay. It was more for you guys to practice. All the charts from today's live will also go on the blog sometime this week so that you guys can all practice. I would really love to see you guys making those so that I can know that I'm conveying information that's actually being used. So I hope that this helped you guys, and I hope that you all enjoyed this. And while you guys put anything else that you have to ask, to say, whatever, it doesn't even have to be about crochet diagrams. We have like maybe 3 minutes left. So just ask it now, and I am going to draw the winner while you guys do that. Okay, so we have to draw the winner from last week's live, so we are going to go to last week's video, And I am going to get the link. And put it into the YouTube random comment picker. And let's see. Did you guys ask anything? Did you guys say anything? I can't see. You're following Naughty Knitting Sex on Instagram. Wonderful. I don't have twins. I have 2 kids, 2 boys. They're both going to kindergarten. The older one is almost 6 now, and the little one is almost 3. I'm thankful that they both will go to the same kindergarten. And I have, I understood from other, for people in the US, that what we call kindergarten and what you call kindergarten is not the same thing. So, so I don't know how to explain the difference, but kindergarten here is before you go to school. So it's from 2 years until 6, and then they go to school. Thankful I found your channel. I'm very happy that that you like it. Your belly can read a written pattern, and your teaching on this topic has helped me a lot. I'm very, very happy to hear that. Tamara says this was great. Thank you. When do you usually start these Sunday sessions? So Tamara, I don't know where in the world you are, but we begin at 6 p.m. Berlin time because I'm in Germany. In the US, I know that's 12 Eastern, and for the rest of the world, you guys will have to do the conversion yourself. But normally, I put up the live a few days before it happens, so you can only click on it and you will see what time it is in your country. And I also always post the link on our Facebook group a few days ahead. So if you're a member of our Facebook group, you can also click on that link and see what time it is in your country. But it's going to stay on Sundays from now on, you guys. I've been a bit back and forth between Saturdays and Sundays, but now that things are slowly getting back to normal here, we're gonna stay on Sundays on this time. Thanks for another great live class. I'm very happy you guys all liked it. Preschool it's called there. Okay. So so here it's called kindergarten. Well, that's a German word, kindergarten, you guys know. All right, I'm gonna take you guys with me to the YouTube random comment picker. And I already put in the link, and we're gonna fill the duplicate and get the comments. And we have 23 comments, and we're going to start and see who won last week's giveaway. And it's Crafty Grandma Gina. Hi. All right, so you are the winner. Congratulations to you. Please contact me to my email address. My email address is under the in the description box below. It says you said you missed this episode, but you're catching the replay. All right, wonderful. So I hope that you watch this replay too to know that you won. And contact me to my email address. It is in the description box below this video, and let me know your full address so that I can mail your winnings to you. You guys, don't forget, we have the Get 10 discount code. It's good for Teespring as well as my Etsy shop. You can get all Yarniversity merchandise for 10% off, and everything on my Etsy shop for 10% off using this code until and including Monday. And I will see you guys all next week. If you're not yet members of our Facebook group, please come join us. If you don't yet follow me on Instagram, please come follow me. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, I would very much appreciate it if you consider subscribing, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and liked the content. And don't forget to come back to this video when it goes into replay and comment to enter for this week's giveaway. And I think I mentioned it all, but if I forgot something, then it's just too bad. Everyone says thank you, thank you. I'm very, very happy you guys all like it and enjoy it. Sunday is good for you guys. I'm happy. Before I forget, thank you from another advanced beginner. I love that there is always something new to learn. Please thumbs up. Yeah, thank you. Lori says kids won't start school as we know it until age 7 in many other countries. Their kindergarten and actual German word, I think, yes, it is, is our preschool. Yes, exactly. For you guys, it's preschool. For us, it's kindergarten. You're welcome, Debbie. Is your kindergarten publicly funded and compulsory or privately paid and voluntary? It's privately paid and voluntary. I mean, people don't have to put their kids in kindergarten, and most kindergarten starts from 2 years. So up until 2 years, there is not really a governmental kinder program. Some people have like what we call like a there's no English word for it. That's hard to explain. But most mothers, since Germany gives the possibility of being on maternity leave for 2 years, so up until the age of 2, when there are kindergartens. So most mothers that I know, at least, actually take those 2 years. There are mothers who take less and then get all kinds of other solutions for those 2 years until the kid goes to kindergarten. Also, when you sign up to kindergarten, I think you sign up. You can sign up to a specific kindergarten, but you go onto a waiting list. And specifically where I live, there are not that many kindergartens, so we had to put our boys on the list pretty much a week after they were born. In order to have them have a spot in the kindergarten, but it's different everywhere in every different place. You're welcome, everyone. I'm very happy you guys were all here, enjoyed me today. So yeah, next week we will meet here again on Sunday, same time, same place at the Yarniversity, and join us on Facebook, join me on Instagram. I said all of that already. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. And yeah, I have 2 or 3, depending on my filming time, videos coming up this week. Regular videos, no live streams. So look out for those as well. There are some cool things happening and that I'm taking part of, and just general blah. That's part of the overall of the channel, you know, yarn reviews, product reviews, tutorials here and there, and so on. So there are a few things coming up this week. All right. Thank you all very, very much for being here, for listening to me all this time. And I would love to see you all next time. And if you do make any of the samples, any of my patterns or whatever, don't forget to tag me so I see it and use our hashtag. All right, I'm gonna leave the chat running for a few more seconds so you guys can all say goodbye to one another. And I am going to have dinner, and if I finish dinner in time, I might still be able to see some of you on Granny D's. But if not, tell her I said hi and that I love her very much. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.